So welcome to class. Today I have a couple tennis balls and a belt, and if you would like to begin lying down, go ahead and set up that way. Good to be here with you. So if it's comfortable at all, and you might normally set up this way when you're lying down in relaxation, have your hands either resting on your belly or maybe near your hips, or maybe one hand on your heart, one hand on your abdomen. But just finding a position where your arms rest without having to hold them up, and you can just feel the weight and warmth of your hands. And close the eyes. Soften. And start to feel that connection of grounding your back body and letting it be held by the earth. So sense getting just a little bit heavier as you relinquish the need to be active or to have to process a lot of stuff or converse with anyone. Just let all that energy now relax and turn it more toward just the simplicity of just this, becoming more present. Then breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. And when you're ready, begin to blow the air out of the mouth so it elongates the exhale. After some cleansing breaths, when your body's prepared to slow down the exhale, it's a very quick and efficient way to let the nervous system know that it is safe here, that it can get back to its business of rest and digest, of healing, reproducing healthy cells, sort of scavenging and cleaning up what needs to be cleaned up. So as long as you know you don't have to immediately go into lengthening those exhales, I think that's important. You don't want to try to turn the tide of a heightened breath directly into calming it. But as you stair-step that process down, take that with you. It's just an excellent tool. Just remember, lengthen the exhale. And whenever you feel ready to shift the breath and let it move in and out of the nose, then do that. I'm going to share a reading sent by a friend to me. This is from the poet Amanda Gorman. Remember that self-love is also revolutionary and world-changing. We cannot fight for others when we are fighting a war inside ourselves. Compassion is reflexive, a power that we first bestow on ourselves and then give away through our actions to people, to our planet. When we recognize that truth, that is when we let love become our legacy. When we recognize that truth, that is when we let love become our legacy. And all this fantastic research, I hear psychologists talking about it, I hear neuroscientists talking about it, all kinds of researchers bringing up what they've learned about self-compassion, kindness, curiosity. Like if you can think of 2 C's in the K, if you can bring those things into how you interact with yourself, and then eventually that will become a more natural extension to others. Compassion, curiosity, and kindness. So one of the research pieces, and this really isn't just the feel-good self-help stuff that I've studied for years, but they're really connecting it to changes in our nervous system, is creating that connection through the healing of your own hands. Well, we have an amazing, intelligent nervous system that's highly sensitive. It knows when to fight, flight, or freeze. It knows how to come back to homeostasis and find the relaxation response. But it can often get hijacked, like through a full year of high intense stress. And while it's amazing, it also can't tell the difference between imagined circumstances and things that are happening right there before us. And it also responds in kind to touch. So just the gentle resting of your hand on your heart, or if you have an area of your body that aches, just gently rubbing, say, your hip or your knee and sending kind words to that. Imagine the words to soothe a child or to even calm a pet, a furry loved one. So giving yourself that is an amazing way to create an environment that you carry with you at all times, an environment that knows you can find safety, compassion, kindness, and that is healing. So as you're breathing, you still feel the weight and warmth of your hands. If there's something that your body or your mind, your heart seems to be calling out for today, just along with the support of your physical touch with your hands, just send some words, some of those soothing words to yourself. Maybe you can recall a loved one in your life, mother or grandmother or dad that was really good at that for you, maybe a good friend. But perhaps borrow from them if you're not quite sure how to access it. And then just gently expand upon the breath, in and out of the nose. You can let your hands slide down to rest at the sides of your body. Just gently wiggle fingers and toes, perhaps sway the head. And I've been inviting my students lately to practice more of that pendiculating kind of stretch. Just the kind of stretch that you see babies and children do a lot, that we may still do in the morning when we're yawning and waking up. So to actually incorporate that throughout your day. So before you begin your stretch, just think about, just what happens when you're just getting up from a nap and your legs tighten and you make fists and you tighten your arms a little, maybe your buttocks tighten and you lift your hips slightly. And then perhaps you conjure a yawn, because that is something we can be inspired to do. And then you reach it out, and you know that the pendiculation's really finding a good release when you have that little shudder or shake at the end of the stretch point.
So when you bend your elbows and then reach your arms out another direction, or you tighten your hips, and then when you let go, your legs shake a little, you point and flex. So it's just returning a little more to our mammalian roots, what animals do up to 70 times a day. That probably the one vestige we have left as adults is a yawn. So we can add in these very spontaneous, very natural pendiculations at your desk. And just think about, like, when you're tightening those muscles, you're communicating to the whole body, the whole tissue system. Your brain, your sensory motor cortex is watching that. It's going, hey, what are you doing? Let's release some of that tension. And then you lengthen it out, and then you let your body rest down again. And just let it come to a resting point. You might be doing that standing during the day, or seated, or lying down right now. And just feel the warmth throughout your body. Feel the awakening of sensation. And then we'll bend into the knees. Walk them in, bring the legs and arms up. Let's give them a little inverted shake out here before we come up. And rotate hands and feet. Clear out any crackles. And go the other way. Good, then place the hands on the knees and let's get in our opposite circles for our hips. Pause and go the other way. Very good. And then roll to one side, support your head, breathe into your back. And then top leg slides away, press with your top hand, let your head hang. We'll come to our seat with the tennis balls there nearby. And remember, you can sit up on a chair if that's better for you. So definitely buttocks back, thigh crease is hollow, your weight is on the sits bones. And I thought we'd just try the tennis balls in a couple unique ways. So if you can reach the floor, I'm noticing I'm having to lean forward to do that. You might need to flatten your feet, do a little quick hand massage here. And you might be using some other kind of ball to massage, that's fine. All right, and then take them up to, so we'll kind of call this the top line of the trapezius. So it's kind of around the back and side of the neck, and it's right at that top crux area where we hold a lot of tension. And see if you can just press the tennis balls into that and then circle. So your elbows kind of do the circling and the hands are pressing into the tennis balls, and the tennis balls just feel like they're massaging that area. They don't necessarily have to roll around at this point. And you can move around on that. So one method is keep the tennis balls still on the flesh of the body and then wriggle around that spot. And then start the more of a rolling up and down. So your hands can flatten and you roll the tennis balls up and down the neck. So you can go slow, you can do little circles, you can just go up and down. Obviously you want it to feel good and not irritating. And get up at the base of the skull and do some nice circles there. You can even get more the side of the neck, so nice and easy. If you have any lymph node stuff going on, you're getting near that zone. But you can go right along the side. The sternocleidomastoid muscle, large muscle, turns your head all day long, among other things. And you can see how that feels. And then you can make your way back to the tops of the shoulders, maybe even, depending on your flexibility, reach back and circle a little bit behind that original point that we started.
Now this one, it may or may not be a reach for you. You can try it. You set the tennis balls right on the front of the arm bone, and you kind of cup them and the tennis balls roll in the hands, and you circle around just the kind of the front and top side of the arm bone with the tennis balls. So it's just inviting range of motion in the shoulders, and as well as gently massaging the arm bone. And then go the other way. Good. And then we're going to come down just at the upper pectoralis here. So you can go crossways to it. So it runs like this direction, and you can do a little horizontal crossways, and then you can run the same direction as the muscle. Again, nice and easy. If you have any lymph issues or anything going on there, don't press heavy here. If you need to skip it, do. And then even get lighter with it. Right under the collarbones, there's where the lymph comes to finally drain out before it restarts the fluid transfer through the body. And the lymphocytes, such a huge way that the body kind of comes in and does a Roomba on the body. So it's just is constantly kind of cleansing. It's moving around a lot of what builds our immunity with lymphocytes and our protective measures. Very good. Okay, now last one. Top of the form is usually the side that is needing a little more massage. You could also play with the underside there, but just circling or going up and down. And then let's get that other one in there too. And you can see which side you need more. Is it the underside or the top side? I think I need both, especially on the dominant hand. All right, and before we finish up, take the 2 tennis balls again, dig into that original spot, and let's just get in there. You can do them at the same time, you can do every other, get a little different rhythm going. See if you can find a couple spots to work into there. And then press in to a good spot, pause there, breathe. Maybe wobble the head a little. Good. And then gently release. So finish up, feet can flatten there. Work the hands again because they did some extra work for us. Awesome. Okay, let's keep one of those tennis balls. The other one can roll off. And let's come off of our cushions or out of our seats. Socks off, if you got them on. And fold the blanket. We'll use that a little bit later. You can move it off to the side as well. And whenever you get up to standing, begin that, just a quick little foot massage. And as you're standing and balancing a little bit and massaging, just notice the awareness, energy through the upper body, the shoulders, the neck. So I also wanted to say the idea of curiosity. You'll hear me say, approach what you bump into or notice in your practice with curiosity. It's a way of almost immediately shifting the judgmental take on things. And yet it can still be discerning. So it's not like you're clueless about what's going on, but you're quite curious. And it's usually involved with less assumptions as well, where there's a chemical component to the act of being curious, and it's a dopamine release. So how cool is that? So you get this little hit of like, oh, that feels good when you're just in a curious mindset. So it's maybe a good way to approach other things in our life too, but certainly our body and when we engage with ourselves. And switch feet. Notice the connection and warmth of the foot grounded, and how it feels after a massage. And just that act, the fact that you've had this yoga practice through the year in a time that's been and continues pretty much to be fairly unpredictable, highly stressful, really uncertain, and a lot of sadness and a lot of upheaval. These are things the nervous system, the animal nervous system, which is in our bodies, doesn't love, right? So it usually has a heightened sense of stress, and then it has some calm. But things like our yoga, things like practicing your yoga skills in your everyday life, simple as feel your foot, feel yourself grounded. These are all techniques that are used to break cycles of anxiety and to help people when they're in the midst of a trauma, kind of reliving thing. So being embodied. So that's been a great help to us, I'm sure. Just some of the very simple things that we often practice. Feel yourself resting on the earth. Feel the air on your skin. Feel your breath coming and going. These are actually scientifically based skills that yogis have practiced for hundreds of years. All right, let's move that tennis ball. And then just stand on your own 2 feet there. Spread out the toes, get your feet positioned in a way that's more effortless to hold the beautiful structure of your bones. Spread out the toes again and set them down. So they're part of the gig. The feet are quite heavy through the tires, but the toes are there too. Knees unlocked, pelvis aligned so it's not tucked under. It's not way swayed back. It's just right in that middle zone. And if you're not ever sure about that, just kind of let your pelvis circle around a little bit and you'll feel like, oh yeah, that takes more work. This takes more work. This takes more work. All those angles will ask your muscles to strain and pull or hold more than when you find the center. And from that plumb line, you can almost imagine one of those pendulums just hanging straight down through the center of the spine, through all the way to the space between your ankles. And then breathe and let your ribs expand, and exhale, broaden the chest and lengthen your neck. Feel the back of the neck lengthen. Feel your ribs. I know still in my mountains, sometimes I'll feel my ribs pull more on the front, so level them out. Slide one hand up the back of the neck. You don't have to pull the nape of the neck, but just slide it up, reminding that graceful long neck to find the top of the J-curve spine. And then just let your eyes open, just looking out at the horizon from that warrior's gaze. Thumbs can point forward or maybe slightly turn out. And even this wide open gaze, in the wild, or if we were out in the jungle and we were using this warrior's gaze to see everything, it doesn't always mean you're on high alert, but it does mean that you're able to be with and take in the broad scape of what's happening. So even this, it's more like the calm alert that we find in a balanced nervous system. So notice how much of your space you can see, how much ceiling, how much floor, what's your periphery right now. And just presence in mountain actually stabilizes the nervous system. And bring your hands to join your heart. Breathe in. As you exhale, hands descend, bend your knees a little bit. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale, bend the knees again and tip over to the left. So you're just going to do a little willow tree crescent shape. Inhale, back up, straighten the legs. Exhale, bend the knees, flow over to the right. Think of creating this little kind of fluid movement. Sometimes we do it more linear, but as you come up, you use the spring of the body. As you bend, you flow. And then you press and you come up again and you flow. So we can just feel some of the rigidity leaving our bodies as we open up laterally from a very linear, forward-moving world. We get to move ourselves sideways and circularly and in waves. Good. One more each way. You can feel it kind of opening up. It feels hopefully more comfortable that last round. And lace your fingers, push the palms away, round into the upper back. And this one, be conscious of the tone in the pit of the belly and really working the stretch in the upper back instead of the low back. Lean side to side. And back at center, push out, inhale, rise up, exhale, hands behind the head, lengthen the base of the skull with the cup of the hands there, elbows slightly forward so they're not pinching the shoulder blades too close together. Find your mountain pose, thighs back, knees unlocked, feet solid, ribs level, lengthen neck. We got that warrior's gaze. Press your head and hands lightly together. So create that isometric action and see if you can find the strength without irritation. So you stop before you over push the head back and breathe. What muscles do you feel engaging down along your spine because of this isometric head press? Very good. Then lighten that up. Let the hands come down a moment and just notice the difference. Your head may kind of grow tall after your hands leave the head. And then we'll do the axial extension, hands placed at the top of the head and more toward the back top of the head rather the center or front. And press down into the head and then engage upright. Straight up into the hands. Remember, level warrior's gaze, eyes wide open. If your ribs, because the tendency to, as we get our shoulders up, the ribs will jut out. So just see if you can work that action. It takes a little more core, a little more awareness through the corset. And breathe. So try to relax your jaw. It might be clenched. Soften your eyes. So we're using these amazing muscles that help us lengthen up from gravity. But notice where you don't have to be tight. Relax the shoulders. Connect to the breath so it's not being held by the isometrics. Good. And then lighten up the hands. Let the head grow tall and the arms come down again. Return to mountain. Notice any different sensations in the neck. See if you can feel that pendulum plumb line straight down from that tip top of the head, making its way through a little gentle movement through the body. So a little sway, nothing wrong with that. It means you're alive, it means you're breathing. Remember, you're a moving, living organism. There is no perfect posture to hold forever. We got to move it. And then with that, we're going to take a wider stance. So with your wider stance, just begin to bend and bob a little bit. So we want to check in. What is your feet? What do they look like right now? Mine are slightly angled out. What feels good to you? Do you like them straight on? Notice the thigh creases, yes, are hollow. You have just the beginnings of that little squat, butt back position. Good. All right, and then slow it down. We're gonna sit with a little bit of the squat and just bob a little bit. And then we're going to inhale, arms up and down, exhale. You can breathe out of the mouth if you like. So notice your bounce does not match the movement of the arms. Bounce is a little faster than the arms. You swing every other arm in front. This is why it's Good to have an empty stomach when you come to yoga. Good. And then come out, bend the elbows in that little squat. Butt is slightly back, but you're not tipping too far. And zip up the belly, tip the sternum. Our spine's going to be slightly angled, almost like a little chair pose. And from that, you're going to breathe in. And as you exhale, twist upper body to the right. And then breathe in, center. Exhale, upper body to the left. Just go to a comfortable distance. Inhale, center. One more time to the right. Inhale, center. One more time to the left. Good. Breathe to center. Lower the hands on the thighs. Maybe widen out. Make sure you have the external rotation of hips, knees, and feet. Breathe in with me. Exhale, right shoulder dips forward. Twist gently. Look left. See if you're warmed up enough to enjoy that stretch. Inhale, center. Left shoulder dips forward. Left thigh stays open. Twist and look right. Inhale, center. Exhale to the left. In breath. Exhale to the right. Let's do that again. Good. Back at center. Flatten the hands on the legs there. Breathe into it. Notice your feet. Can you get the whole foot and all the toes involved? Then press down and inhale up. Good. With knees bent, heel toe together. Shake a leg, shake a leg. Good, good. We're going to face the narrow edge of our mat. And we're going to use the interlaced hands behind the head. That same thing I asked you to pay attention to, the line of muscles that wakes up when we do that. And we're going to use that in our warrior one. So wrap at the base of the skull, elbows slightly forward, shoulder blades wide, ribs tip down at the sternum, neck long, warrior's gaze. Add your isometrics if you haven't. Bend the knees. Keep the right foot forward, step the left foot back once, then twice, and ground the heel. If you need to, take a moment to look down and check in with your channel space. Make sure it feels good. And then as you come up, press the head into the hands, lengthen it, feel that connection. Back leg, if it's good, strong and straight. Feel that calf stretch, feel the hamstring stretch. If you need to step it up closer, that will lessen the intensity. And breathe. Warrior one, Virabhadrasana, Eka. So then we're going to start to hip hinge with the interlaced hands. So you have the head still pressing back into the hands. You hip hinge a little bit forward, lean your upper body weight in the bent knee more, and then pivot onto the back ball of the foot and hop that back foot in closer. So now you're back more upright and your head aligns with the back foot pretty much. Keep the front knee slightly bent. Press the head into the hands and see if you can hover the back foot. Doesn't have to be a lot. And in fact, just tipping the toes down on the floor, that will give you a nice workout with balance and strength. Very good. Now, as you come upright, bend that left leg, bring it through and forward, and press your head into your hands as you come upright. If your hip flexors will allow, bring your knee up about 90 degrees. Point the toes. And then slowly set the foot down. Release the hands, shake it out. Shake a leg, shake a leg. Good job. All right, so see how that felt for you. We'll do the isometrics again if it worked for you. This time as you interlace, just switch so it's your less familiar interlace. And cup at the base of the skull. Press the head and hands lightly together. The pelvis in good position. Tip the sternum slightly down. Find that connection of your core. Warrior's gaze. Bend a little bit. Left foot will stay forward. Put the weight in the left foot. Tap your right foot back once, maybe twice. Slowly ground the heel at that nice little 15-degree angle. Toes angle out to the right. You might look down. Make sure your channel space makes sense. So your heels should sort of match the hips, okay? And then as you're rising back up, press the head into the hands, nice and long, and see how that feels. So this head press, and again, it doesn't have to be much, engages the long line of muscles. Some are the erector spinae muscles. They go from the base of the skull all the way down to the sacrum. And that can often free up any low back or hip stuff that can show up in Warrior One because it's really toned and there's no sort of sagging into the low back. It's a nice lengthener for the iliopsoas on the back leg. You might feel that at the inner thigh and up into the belly. And then we're going to keep the little bit of head pressure in hands. Hip hinge forward, front knee may bend a little more. You put your weight in the front leg, pivot and go to the ball of the back foot, and then hop that foot in a bit closer. Let's keep some bend to the left knee, press the head into the hands, and either reach back through the tiptoes of your right foot, which will make it harder, or lift up the right leg. And just play with that. You can just lift up an inch or two or go in a little deeper. Good work. Then, as you start to come upright, bend the right knee so you can sweep it through, press the head into the hands, hip hinge that lovely spine upright. Then, if you can, pull the knee up, point the toes just about 90 degrees. Find the ribs, find your breath, and set the foot down. Awesome. Release the hands, shake it out, shake a leg, shake a leg. All right, and just big rolls of the shoulders here. So getting back a little more fluid. And then forward. Good. All right, so let's take a lateral stance. Left heel pivots back, right leg spins out, heel to heel or a little bit wider is great. Let's add a little fascia elasticity, bobbing there. So you'll know if you get any like fired up feedback in your joints, we want to do something different with the stance. Narrow it, change the channel, or stop bouncing altogether if it's just not working. So a little bobbing. Good. All right, so our head, heart, and belly are aligned with the pelvis here, and we're just going to do some slow practice of sweeping the arms open and letting the chest, so I'll show that with my hands, the chest will open, but the lower part of the body stays rotated. And then we'll come back down, line up with the pelvis, and then open away from the pelvis. So let's try that. Exhaling, inhaling, exhaling. Even as you arrive at the height of it, you can bend the elbows and make sure the shoulders are nicely placed in the sockets so they didn't get tucked up there into that upper rotator cuff. Good. Next time you come to the warrior two, arms turn with that pirouette gaze, the warrior's gaze, look to the left. Take a quick look down at your leg. We want it slightly rotated in with the pelvis, but if the leg shoved forward of your back toes, move the whole leg slightly back, still spun inward. And with that, then place your left hand down on the back of the thigh. Turn your right palm open, and without looking, take your front right ribs to tip down. So think of the sternum action, and then lift to the back bend. Pole vault up and over, still looking down the back leg. And breathe. And press down, inhale. Rise up, the arms come up tall, the leg straightens for a moment, full breath into the left compressed side. Very good. Micro bend the front knee. Next exhale, shift head and pelvis as a unit. Back of the hand where it lands, so your spine will kind of find a stop point, and if you're not compensating, your hand will go, okay, that's where we're landing. A few of the willow branch moves, so you return to the upper body rotation. You can turn the head with it too if you'd like. And then pause in the triangle. You decide on the head position. You decide on the top arm. Does it need to be lower? The hand on the pelvis? Do you want to wrap it slightly forward, hug the cloud? Then last one, we're going to look down, bend the knee, plant the hand on the knee, left hand on the pelvis, heel toe that foot out a little bit wider if it's suitable for you. And then you can choose, do I stay on the hand or do I want to come to the forearm? And then we're going to do our little wave, Parsvakonasana. So the arm can extend, maybe it's a little more bent for you, that's cool. Press to the bottom arm, inhale, round the back a little, exhale, reach it out. Press, inhale, let the wave catch underneath the front of the body. Exhale, reach it out. And as you breathe, you could add the ujjayi sound. You can kind of imagine the sound of the ocean wave coming and going. Good. Last one. And sweep the arm down, push off the right foot, inhale, pull to the left. Now we're pretty wide there, so hands on the pelvis, bend the front knee slightly. If you can heel toe the back foot in a little and then spin the front leg, give that a go. Bring it together safely, shake it out. Before side two, either Tadasana width or you can do the legs, feet together Tadasana, and we'll sweep the arms up. Is it cactus for you? Is it halo? Is it straight up? Maybe slightly forward with the parallel arms. And you're just creating that kind of Uttita Hasta Tadasana move where it's like the arrow mountain reaching from earth to sky. Notice anything you might shift in the ribs, in the head. So just returning to your natural alignment. Good. And then bend the elbows, exhale out and down to your heart. Take your feet out again. Moderate width's great. Rotate right heel back, bend the left knee, spin left leg out. Heel to heel or a little bit wider in the channel's great. Find your feet, find your tires. Add in the bobbing if it's appropriate for you and let it teach you what needs to change. I just had to change my back foot because my back knee was like, nope. So once you get more apt at doing this and feeling it, you'll know almost immediately. Like, nope, I need to change something. So it's quick, good feedback. And then the bouncing helps our fascia. All right, then land in it. 3 points of power. Let's do the slow-mo first. So opening up, upper body rotates open. Make sure the elbows bend a little. And then bringing it down again, you rotate to face the same line as the pubic bone and open up again. So then exhale, arms sweep down. Inhale, opening up. Move with your breath. Just feeling that kind of graceful flow and enlivening the rotation. So we don't just do it once in our warrior two, but we get to have our spines experience that multiple times. Next time you come into it, bend the elbows a little, center that warrior's gaze, turn and look to the right. Then take a look down at the back leg. If it looks good, keep it there. You want that slight spiral inward, but if it tends to lean out over the toes, you move the whole thing slightly back. So the side of the hip kind of lines up with the front of the ankle. And then lower that right hand to the leg. Feel your left side ribs tip down. So you just come back to the corset sense, all sides of the tube strong. And then you can lift up and perhaps up and over as you look down the leg. Reverse warrior here. Feel your feet. Feel your tires. Feel all the joints. Notice how your breath moves through the pose. And then inhale, rise and shine. Both arms come up. We're going to straighten that front leg and a full breath into the right side. If you've opened this hip too far, make sure it's still spiraled slightly forward. And then micro bend the front knee, breathe in, exhale. Take it to where your body's willing. Where's that shift without rounding the spine sideways? Then the back of the hand lands, and we add in, again, fluid, wave-like motion. Upper body being able to find its appropriate rotation. And you customize all along the way. Next time you open up, pause there. And you might change the arm or change the head. Breathe, Trikonasana. And then looking down, bend that front knee, place the hand on the knee, bring your right hand to your pelvis. Heel toe that right foot a little further back. And it doesn't have to have so much of the heel push back. And then from there, do I stay on the hand? That's your choice, or come to the forearm. The right arm sweeps either in a straighter position or slightly bent. And then we push down through the floor, down through the left arm or hand to bow up with the spine, and exhale, roll it out. So it's just like a wave of water comes up underneath you, and then it rolls back out. Add the Ujjayi breath if you'd like. Imagine the ocean sound. Very good. Now, I'm going to show it coming up the way we did before. If coming into down dog from here is doable for you, I'm going to have you come down to the floor, pivot, heel toe out, and come to dog. Otherwise, press and inhale up with me. Hands to the pelvis. Let's bend the front knee. Try to heel toe in a little closer with the back foot, and then you can engage the front leg, and then just make your way in and shake, shake, shake. And then you can choose dog, coming to the short end of your mat, or even grab countertop or a chair in lieu of that. So as some of you been in dog there for a while, some just arriving, you can take the legs for a walk. I would definitely do the top side of each foot. As those standing poses, it's a long time for that back ankle. And just finding how the nuances of your dog pose. Are the hands wide enough? Knuckle pads grounded? How are the elbows and shoulders feeling? How's the neck? Good. Then walk the feet a step or two forward. Bend the knees and walk your hands toward the feet. Make sure you're not dizzy before you come up onto the knees. Press straight with the arms. Tone your 3 points of strength. And when you're ready, hip hinge up and roll the shoulders again. Very good. Let's grab our blankets. And you can actually open them. Have your belt, if you had that handy. And as we come down onto our backs, I'm going to show this from the top of the head down, but you just rest back on your blanket as you normally would. And we're going to bring both feet up into the belt. If you didn't have an extension strap like this, you could also use your hands to the outer thighs. And just get your feet kind of across the arches there and the outer edges of the feet. Spread the toes. Feel the connection to the belt, little taut on the outer edges of the feet. And then start to slide against the resistance of the belt. Slide slowly open. And you're going to listen to that as your arms widen out to where you need to stop for the inner thigh to feel safe. And still feeling some stretch there. So toes spread out, and absolutely you can bend the knees to make sure it's safe for you. If legs straight works for you, I want you to find the direction that your kneecaps are pointing. If they're turning in, it's your inner thighs compensating to say, hey, we're not doing this stretch. So if it's possible, bend your knees and slightly rotate the kneecaps to face more straight back. And then you can maybe feel more stretch and perhaps decide to keep the knees bent or re-lengthen. So toes spread out, feet are pushing into the belt, hands are strong and stable so you feel safe. the weight down through the pelvis and probably the low back as well. The natural curve of the low back for many of us will be grounded. That's fine. The upper mid-back grounded, the back of the head. And breathe into a supine version of Upavishta Konasana, which is done as normally a seated forward fold. If it's working great for you, inner thighs have no complaints here. You want to add a little to it. You could slowly rock. Keep the tautness of the belt, the outer edges of the feet, and a slow, steady rock. If you like the rocking, but it's a little troublesome for inner thighs, bend your knees. That should take care of that. Notice where you rock across. We want the pelvis and upper buttocks to be part of it. So make sure the low spine is not taking all the weight. All right, let's slow down the rocking. Once you come to a still point, a little bend to the knees, and then just watch your feet as you slide the feet slightly closer toward each other. Stop when they align over the knees, and then bend the knees toward the back corners of the room, so that you have that little nearing 45-degree angle, but whatever's available to your hips is great. So here, often in the past, the work would be to pull the belt, so you're pulling your hips into the stretch. All we're gonna use it for is supporting the outer edges of the feet so the ankles and shins don't flare out. So just working it from that directive. Breathe the belly full, exhale, soften into the hips and pelvis. There's a lot going on just in the tissues of the psoas. It's a very tender emotional tissue, hips as well. So just very compassionate, kind, respectful, this area of the body as you breathe your belly full. As you exhale, letting go, just softening. Feel the groundedness of the back body. So you just feel a sense of solidness, that you have your back there as your maybe more emotional areas of the body stretch and release. Then when you're ready, slide the feet down toward each other. You can let the belt just drop down low, hands to the knees, and a little circular motion around the sacrum. Same direction. Pause, even out. Good, and before we finish, legs and arms up, let's just shake it all out, get rid of the sensation of the belt, any gripping, any residual tensions held in the tissues. It's a time to let it go. When you're done with that, bend the knees, set one foot down at a time, and prep yourself for your relaxation. So think about, do you just want to rest as is? Do you want to add in a constructive rest or legs up the wall? Maybe seated meditation. So whether you're settled or you're just getting your props prepared to hold you, just begin to breathe in through the nose and slowly out of the mouth. If your heart rate's still elevated, you can do more cleansing breaths. It doesn't have to be the slow exhale out of the mouth. And just naturally allowing that exhale to become quieter, softer, until your body's ready to let it go And just breathe you in and out of the nose, like a gentle whisper. And if you'd like, hands can rest on your body or at your sides, you choose. And in closing, as we go into relaxation, I'll share again Amanda Gorman's words. Remember that self-love is also revolutionary and world-changing. We cannot fight for others if we are fighting a war inside ourselves. Compassion is reflexive, a power that we first bestow on ourselves and then give away through our actions to people, to our planet. When we recognize that truth, that is when we let love become our legacy. And remaining at ease, just let your gentle awareness come back, feeling your connection to the earth beneath you, the air around you, in the wholeness of your mind and body and heart. Return to the kind words that you sent yourself at the beginning of class. And begin to expand upon the breath. Remember when you need it, cleansing breaths, and then elongate the exhale. Start to wiggle fingers and toes, maybe a head sway. Maybe you have that urge for that natural pandiculation, squeezing into the body, stretching, yawning. But just move as you're wanting to here. Eventually bend into the knees. If you're in constructive rest, inch your way out before you lift the feet up and take the props off. And as your knees come in, give yourself a hug, rock gently. And then roll to one side. Breathe into your back. And on your in-breath, come on up to your seat. We close our hands joined at our hearts. And as we bow, we know that we've cared for ourselves in a way that our hearts are a little more full. And we offer that good energy out to each other and all those that we'll interact with. May we create that home base, that environment within that is safe and supportive. It is compassionate, it's curious, it's kind. And we always have a safe place to be. And to each other, we say namaste, namaste. Thank you. Thanks so much.